Hey guys, welcome to week 3 of the Healthy Happy Gut program. Hope you're all starting to see a little bit of progress now. I know that some of you have only just begun supplementation, so things will only get better from now. However, if your diet has been on point from day dot, there's some really big changes in there, so you should be seeing some big improvements from diet alone. Okay. So what we're talking about this week is why we're going gluten, dairy and soy free. Our 3 reasons why we're doing this are inflammation, intolerance, and it's food for our bad bacteria to thrive. Sorry, I also didn't mention why we're going refined sugar free as well. Okay, so let's discuss inflammation first. We know that these foods cause inflammation in the gut. This isn't just something I say because I feel better without it. It's actually scientific fact that these foods are inflammatory for most people. And in an ideal world, if we had a healthy gut, so maybe after this 18 weeks, for example, you should be able to tolerate these foods without having that inflammatory effect every single time you have a little bit here and there. Okay, but the fact is that most of us don't have great gut health, so we're only building on that inflammation in our gut. So we know that gluten and casein, which is cow's milk protein, when it is digested, the gut releases a protein called zonulin. Now, zonulin is known to contribute to leaky gut, so it's breaking apart those tight wall junctions in the gut, causing intestinal permeability, or leaky gut as it's commonly known, which then affects your nutrient absorption, and it also affects whether or not you're getting those pathogenic bacteria in your gut. Okay, so if we wanted to, we can actually measure someone's zonulin levels, which gives us clinical evidence that's suggestive to say whether or not that person has leaky gut. So looking at zonulin levels can help indicate that for us. Okay, soy on the other hand, it's estrogenic. So that means it increases estrogen in the body, and this is for men and women. The thing is that there are so many women out there already having estrogen dominant related issues. So when we add soy into the diet, we're only worsening those factors. Now, soy is not the only thing that is estrogenic. However, it is a common allergen, and it does trigger inflammation for a lot of people as well. So that's why we're going to take it out of the diet, lower the inflammation, and then we can reintroduce at a later date and see how we tolerate it. So yeah, basically it will lead to hormonal imbalances if you eat soy in excess. Alrighty, so on to intolerance now. Dairy and gluten are and soy as well are the 3 most common allergenic foods. So in babies, it's dairy and soy that are most common, and then in adults, dairy and gluten are most common. So a lot of people will live their whole life not knowing that they have any issue with those foods. And it's not until we actually remove them from the diet that we can see the differences it makes in our lives. So if you can imagine intolerance being like a bucket, where some of us might be able to tolerate 1 piece of said food per week and not experience any symptoms. That means our bucket's full at that point. And if we add any more in, the bucket overflows and spills, and then we start seeing these adverse reactions and symptoms occurring. So for other people, they might be able to have a little bit of dairy on every second day and not see any issue. But it's not until you remove them completely out of the diet that you can actually tell. And it can take up to 28 days for it to leave your system completely. So it's important that when you do eliminate, you're doing it 100% and not having little bits here and there thinking it doesn't hurt you, because in actual fact, you're just adding to that bucket each and every time you have that little bit. So it doesn't just go away after you've had it and it's like starting again. It can take up to that 28 days for your bucket to become empty again. Okay, so just think about that every time you think about whether or not you're going to have something with dairy or gluten in it, because it's like starting all over every time you do. Okay, so the other thing with intolerance is that we live with these symptoms thinking that they have nothing to do with food, and until you take them out of the diet completely, you won't see those symptoms go. So we could do all the gut health work in the world, but if you're still reacting to certain foods and not knowing it, then you're not going to get the most optimal results you possibly can. Okay? So some of the signs and symptoms you might experience from intolerance alone are diarrhea or constipation, mucus or blood in the stool, darkness under the eyes, or otherwise known as allergy shyness, an increase in severity of psoriasis, acne, eczema, or dermatitis. So taking those foods out of the diet can actually make a big difference to those things. Phlegm in the throat. Dairy in particular is mucus forming. So it gives you this constant phlegm or congestion. So until you remove it, that congestion doesn't actually go away. Even though it can be due to other things, it can also be due to food intolerance. You can get an increase in asthma symptoms, which makes sense when asthma is an allergy type condition. You can have lower back pain or other musculoskeletal pain. So you might be fine and have no aches and pains while you're on this diet, and then all of a sudden you introduce those foods back in and pains return to your body. It's clear to say that it's probably food doing that to you. Okay, and reflux and indigestion is another common sign of intolerance. Alrighty, so during the time of this program, it's really important that we eliminate those foods 100% or as much as we can. It will make a big difference to your health overall. And when we do introduce those foods at a later date, so when you finish the plan, it's important to introduce the foods separately, one at a time on separate weeks. So that way you know exactly what foods contribute to what symptoms that you're experiencing. Okie doke. So I will help you with that if you do need help when you want to reintroduce, but if you don't, that's okay too. All right, and lastly, we take these foods out of the diet because it feeds pathogenic bacteria. So if we're eating sugar continuously or refined carbohydrates that we're not utilizing for energy, our parasites, candida, and other gut bacteria are going to thrive in, off of that because it's food for them. So it's only going to be harder to kill them and eliminate them from our bodies if we continuously feed that bad bacteria. Okay, so they are the three big reasons why we're eliminating dairy, soy, gluten, and refined sugars from our diet. I hope that helps you understand why we're doing it and what actual impact that does have on your health, because it is a huge one and it's a big part of this gut health plan. If you're not doing the dietary stuff, then you're really minimizing the effects and gain you're going to have from doing so. Okay guys, enjoy your week. If you have any questions at all about going dairy, gluten, soy, and refined sugar free, make sure you let me know and I will be happy to help. All right guys, have a great week. Bye.